So basically, we built PAC-MAN, PIC-MAN, because it's on the PIC. We just kind of use the same hardware that we've been using this whole time. So the PIC, obviously, everything else with that. And in our code, we basically made a animation thread and a timer thread. Those are the two big threads, and our functions are all about moving the ghosts. So those are all the functions.
Or resetting things.
Or reset things. We also have functions to reset map, reset the ghosts back to where they're supposed to be if you die or just at the end of a level. And Kat made a function to show the 256 bug that is like a win screen, or is like a bonus Easter egg thing.
Pac-Man's really complicated for no reason. That's all we learned.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you to clarify that this isn't sort of a game that looks like Pac-Man, but you all actually really investigated the separate rules that every ghost follows and built a very high fidelity Pac-Man.
Our overall objective was to recreate as much of the original logic as possible within reason. So the main things that we left out are, we basically just have level 1 repeat indefinitely. The actual game has a bunch of timers and ghost rules that change each level to make the game harder. And we didn't implement any of that. So we just have like level 1, and we can have level 1 clear as many times as you want to. But even just that took us, the full 4 weeks.
So there are 4 ghosts, right?
Yeah.
What are their names?
Inky, Pinky, Blinky, and Clyde.
You gotta go in order,
right?
You have to go in order, Kat.
Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and then Clyde.
And could you talk through some of the what are the rules that each of these ghosts are following? Because I got to tell you, before you all did this project, my naive impression was that the ghosts were just kind of randomly moving around, maybe chasing Pac-Man a little bit, but it's more complicated than that. Can you talk a little bit about the ghost rules?
Yeah. So basically there's 3 modes that the ghosts can be in. There's scatter mode, chase mode, and frighten mode. So scatter and chase are when like Pac-Man hasn't eaten one of those Energizer big dots. So they're like, if Pac-Man collides with them, Pac-Man dies. And then the difference between the scatter and the chase mode is that scatter mode is each ghost gets its own tile in the corner. So I don't remember which ghost is which, but basically they, like, one goes, this is their target tile, this is their target tile, and these are the other 2. So the ghosts go towards their target tiles during scatter mode. Which is why when you're playing Pac-Man and someone's chasing you, sometimes they just randomly like leave, because probably it switched into scatter mode from chase mode. Chase mode is when the target tile is somewhat related to Pac-Man. So Blinky is the first ghost out of the pen, and it's his target tile is Pac-Man, so he's the one that's always like chasing you down. And then Pinky is the next one out of the pen, and his target tile is like 4 to the left of you, of Pac-Man. And then there's actually like a weird overflow error in the original game that we coded in, where if you're going up, the target tile's actually like up to 4 and to the left 4. So we coded that in also just for funsies. And then Enki's rule is that he's really complicated for no reason. And it's like, so his target tile is his halfway to his target tile is 2 to the left of Pac-Man. And then that's like the distance between Blinky and that target tile, that halfway target tile is doubled. And then that tile is the actual target tile of Inky.
Good Lord.
Literally for no reason. I don't know why, but at least everything's in X and Y, so I can just add X and Y, so it's fine. We love slopes.
Right. You can talk about Clyde's target tile.
I haven't gotten to Clyde yet. Clyde is last.
Okay,
Kat gets the honor of Clyde because Clyde is the love of Kat's life.
Clyde is my favorite ghost because he just kind of roams around a little bit aimlessly, but Clyde's algorithm is if he is far enough away from Pac-Man, then he approaches the vicinity of Pac-Man. And then as soon as he's within, I forget what radius.
It's
Do you guys remember?
64 pixels.
If
So 8
Clyde comes within
tiles.
64, yeah, within the 8 tiles. Also, yeah, the grid is, it's a 28 by 32 or 28 by 36.
30, I don't remember,
It's
36.
a 28 by 36 tile grid. So all of the math is done in, as a function of tiles. But anyway, if Clyde comes within 8 tiles of Pac-Man, then he instead goes back to his scatter mode target tile. Is that right? So he only chases Pac-Man until he's like kind of close to Pac-Man, and then he does his own thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This
So
is all
he's the
not
aloof ghost.
including. This is all not including the logic of when they get released. It depends on, first of all, if you've eaten enough dots, and then if you have not eaten enough dots, but you let too much time go by, then they get released. But if you have died once, then that time is a different limit, or it's a different dot limit that you have to eat.
It's really terrible, actually.
There's like 4 if conditionals.
Bruce, you're muted.
How did you figure this out?
Oh,
I
there's
found a wonderful, super, like insanely interesting blog post of some
Of course
hobbyist who
there
wrote
is,
all of
right.
this up.
So somebody has gone through and decoded the ROM and written a book about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
And it
So
was-
all that logic that you all just discussed is implemented in this
Yes.
PIC version of. So this is Pac-Man. I mean, this is level 1 of Pac-Man.
Level
Yeah.
1.
I think Kat mentioned that the things were missing. Oh wait.
No, they're past level 1. So
Oh, so well, the other thing we're missing is that there's some cornering, like the exact animation of how you turn a corner. We opted not to do that because of death, or saving ourselves from more death. And so instead, if you enter a tile and you're about to turn, you just immediately skip kind of like 3 or 4 tiles and then jump to the middle. So that way, when you're turning, you're always like in the center. But in the actual Pac-Man game, the ghosts go like every single tile until every single pixel until the center of the tile and then turn, rather than skipping. And then what Pac-Man does is he corners, so he can go like 2 tiles in and then go diagonally across and then continue going.
So you gain some speed on the ghost basically at the corners into your
But we
turning,
did not
and
corner. We also
Okay.
didn't animate at the original game is at 60 frames per second, and we animated at 30 frames per second. And then also the original game, the speeds are really specific. It's like Pac-Man, it goes like 80% of the max speed, and then the ghosts go like 75%. But then when Pac-Man eats an Energizer dot, it's like 90% of its max speed or something. And because we didn't have that many, our frames per second is kind of slow, so we couldn't really show the percents of speeds that well. We kind of opted for moving 1 pixel per frame, normally for both the ghosts and Pac-Man. And then when Pac-Man eats an Energizer dot, he goes 1 pixel every other frame and 2 pixels in like the other frames. So then he goes like 1.5 times faster.
Okay. Wow.
questions.
Yeah. Is that all the rules? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
we did the more important rules.
Oh, also the speeds of the ghost change in the tunnel, and the percentage of it going into the tunnel, like the percent chance is lower. It's really complicated.
The tunnel?
So
there's a
that
tunnel
like
here.
So
you
like
wrap.
this hallway next to the pen here that wraps around. If you go through that tunnel, they're supposed to go slower. We did not do that.
Yeah.
Boy, those are some minor details. Oh my goodness.
Only minor. I mean,
So could we see Pac-Man in action?
Oh, you.
Oh, I have to play. Right.
Yeah, you're better at it. What's ironic is that everyone except Alvin's bad at Pac-Man.
Or Pic-Man or Miss Pic-Man?
It's really not true because I think everyone is equally as good at it. So
I
here I
tried to
am.
make it pink, but the pink
Flying
just
about,
visibility
So
horrible.
Pic-Man's in the bottom of the screen right now.
Yeah,
Miss
I'm
Pic-Man.
moving to the bottom right now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna eat this Energizer dot if I don't die. And now they turn around.
They turn
I can
blue.
eat Pink Blinky, and he goes back to being the pen. And
Clyde's just vibing in the pen right now.
Clyde's vibing in the pen. I haven't eaten enough dots to release him. There you go. I just ate enough dots to release.
Oh, the cherry,
Clyde.
you saw there's a red thing that popped up in the middle. That's a bonus bonus fruit, and the bonus fruit for the first level is a cherry.
Right.
So you
Wow.
get bonus points if you eat it within 10 seconds of it being released.
The real question is, can I survive long enough to beat this?
No.
There was
Yeah,
another small
died yet.
detail that
I
we
haven't
left
died
out.
yet.
The fruit is released for somewhere between 9.5 and 10 seconds, and it's generated randomly each level. I just hard coded it to 10
It looks like you've been practicing this a little bit.
Yeah, I make Alvin do all the breaking of the
Ugh,
game.
there you
So when you
Okay,
die,
so there's a death.
There's death.
you lose a life
I
in
lose
the
a life.
bottom corner.
So I can see in the bottom of the screen, there are only 2 life indicators now, where previously there were 3.
Yep. Now we're eating the last energizer dot. I'm trying to eat all the dots before I die. Here we go.
No, you missed it at top.
How many levels is it set to right now before the 256 comes in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Taking him for a ride.
Yeah. Well,
So is Clyde the one up there just doing his own thing?
No,
Uh-oh.
that's Inky. So that was scatter mode. I think that's where Inky's target tile is for scatter mode.
Interesting. Okay.
Or Pinky. I don't know. No, that's Inky.
there's some wrapping done, and woohoo! All
Yay.
right. So now I
beat the
need all the
level.
dots. This is level 20, 256 bug. Basically, this was done because of an overflow error. So I can't actually see what I'm doing on the right side, which is what it was supposed to happen. I can only see what's happening on the left side. You also can't really beat this level.
So this is, am I right? So this emulates, like if you were the original Pac-Man, if you were to beat the game, this is a bug that happens when you exceed the maximum number of levels.
Sort of. So in the original game, there's 256 levels, which by the way, the 19th level just repeats like 200 times. They didn't even bother coding that far because they didn't anticipate anybody getting that far into the game. But when you get to the 256 level, the loop that generates the screen, there's an overflow error. So it clocks to 256 when it should be clocked to 255. And it plots all of this. So the right half of the screen, you can't see anything. In the original game, the maze also changes. We just left all of the original maze and all the original ghost logic in place, but everything is messed up in the original game. And what's also wiped is majority of the dots on the right side. So the way that the game knows that you beat a level is if it counts to 244 dots. And because half of the dots are missing at the 256 level, there's no way to actually beat the game.
Wow.
So if you
That's
make it to
really
256, it's really, yeah, unfortunate. You have to just, you play until you die, basically.
which I did. If anyone was paying attention, I like got to the game over screen, which is just when you die.
You could just die again.
I could die again. That's true. But
Just keep dying.
I did notice the game over. Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
okay. Well,
Don't die.
well, I'm not gonna. What is the point of surviving here?
What?
I'm gonna die.
Oh, see if you can get one of the tile pass-through things.
Oh, so the way that you calculate a collision is if your tile happens to be the same tile as another ghost, but if you both happen to move your tile at the same time, you can actually pass through the ghost without colliding with it, which is a real bug in the actual game also. Here I die again.
I'm doing a bad job
I-
replicating this bug.
I'm sorry, but I can't replicate bugs as they come, okay? It's pretty
So-
much you can't.
So you all not only emulated the vast majority of the rules, but also emulated the subtle bugs in the original game.
Well,
Yeah.
we attempted to at least.
We did our best, yeah.
Wow. It's so impressive.
That's a hard thing to do. That's very difficult.
You know,
Oh,
oh, there we go. Game over.
Game over.
Well, I can try again. You know, there's no limit to how many times I can play Pac-Man in reality.
yeah, Alvin's like, let me do a little research. And then she pulls up the Google Pac-Man, like the Google Doodle, and she's like playing that on the side. And I'm like tearing my hair out, trying to figure out what's wrong.
Okay,
And she's
but-
like, ah, yes, this is the way to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. This is
And
what
I'm
happened.
just noticing too, so the score is incrementing at the top.
Yeah. So we actually had an issue with incrementing the score every time a dot got eaten because like a million dots get eaten at once. So in the animation thread, at least. So we opted to increase the score in the timer thread. So oh, look, it passed.
Oh, I did that.
But every time the timer ticks 1 second, it will,
Boom.
it updates the score because we're having the
Gotcha.
printing
Makes
on
sense.
the TFT
Yeah.
edges. Which is also why we think our ghosts are flashing, because we just think the TFT takes too long to print a circle rather than a pixel. So we think that flashing is it printing over the old one in black and then reprinting the new circle, but it's too big, so it just takes time to print it. Maybe.
Hmm.
We don't actually know. We couldn't even tell it was flickering until Megan sent us got this image better.
That's true. For the first half of our
We didn't know it was
life of coding all of this, it was impossible to see the screen half the time. So we were just okay. And then the CRL dongle would constantly be broken. So you'd just be okay, and just do whatever we thought was
we
correct.
print on the TFT screen in very large pink letters.
That's true.
Yeah, of course, pink. Yeah.
That was the most visible one.
Oh, really? No,
Yeah.
it wasn't just to match the
aesthetic.
interface.
No, what would make you think
No,
that?
I think
Why
the
would
color is
we?
actually magenta right now. We were printing in magenta for a lot of this because that was just the only color that we could see.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the only reason.
I have to imagine that you all are now among the 0.01% of experts in the world on Pac-Man.
I think Kat is really the expert. She was the one who found this blog post and was guys, you have to see all of these rules. There's
Wait, didn't you message us someone? You're I've been watching a 50-minute YouTube video of this guy playing all the levels of Pac-Man. And I was what?
Kat was really in-depth research.
Yeah, no, I did. I read through the whole blog post, and then after reading through the whole blog post, I made a list of all of the rules, and it was this is not a reasonable number of things that we can code in a month. So then we sat down and made a list of here are the things that are important. Here's the things that would be cool to implement if we had time, the 256 bug. And there's a whole list of very minor things that we didn't end up doing, but yeah, there's lots of details built into the game.
Oh, yeah. We also didn't do, normally when you eat a ghost, their eyes travel back to the pen.
Yeah.
And then it gets released again immediately. We didn't have the eyes travel back to the pen because you can't even tell they're dots already. A mystery how we would code, what the eyes would look like.
Yeah, screen's too small. Yeah.
The eyes travel back to the pen.
So we have everything configured to use the DAC in order for sound, but we ran out of time to program sound.
Yeah.
But that would have been the next thing.
It's beautiful.
Awesome job. Really awesome job. Really nice demo.
Goodness.
Awesome.
Thank you.